the Didar of Imam. We are reflecting on his farmans. Alhamdulillah. So this is Tofa Jashan, and I will sing this kalam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. शहजादाए यगानाए शहंशाह बेमिसाल परवरदिगार पा खुदा वंद लाएजाल शहजादाए यगानाए शहंशाह बेमिसाल परवरदिगार पा खुदा वंद लाएजाल खल्ला के दो जहान रज़ा के इंसो जान महबूब आशिकान मकसूद आरफान खल्ला के दो जहान रज़ा के इंसो जान महबूब आशिकान मकसूद आरफान शहजादाए यगानाए शहंशाह बेमिसाल परवरदिगार पा खुदा वंद लायज़ाल दाराए कुन फकान बरतर जिला मकान ए नूर कल्ब जान ए सिर ला मकान दाराए कुन फकान बरतर जिला मकान ए नूर कल्ब जान ए सिर ला मकान शहजादाए यगानाए शहंशाह बेमिसाल परवरदिगार पा खुदा वंद लायज़ाल गफ्फार आसियान गमखार मुफलिसान माबूद आबिदान मसजूद साजिदान गफ्फार आसियान गमखार मुफलिसान माबूद आबिदान मसजूद साजिदान शहजादाए यगानाए शहंशाह बेमिसाल परवरदिगार पा खुदा वंद लायज़ाल उठ जा नसीर बेदिल रंगे जमाना देखो हाँ नाजिल हुआ फलक से रब का खजाना देखो उठ जा नसीर बेदिल रंगे जमाना देखो नाजिल हुआ फलक से रब का खजाना देखो शहजादाए यगानाए शहंशाह बेमिसाल परवरदिगार पा खुदा वंद लायज़ाल शहजादाए यगानाए शहंशाह बेमिसाल परवरदिगार पा खुदा वंद लायज़ाल Alhamdulillah, our Imam is that Shahzada, unique Shahanshah. No one is like him. Right? Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. It's such a beautiful kalam. It says, Ghaffare Asiyan, those who seek forgiveness, he is the forgiver. Ghamkhware Muflisan, those who are hurting, are in pain, he is the one who heals the pain. Mabude Abidan, those who do ibadat, his worship. He is the Mabud who is worshipped. Masjud Sajidan, and he is the mosque of those who go into prostration. So it's not building, it's not place, it's all him, Imam Zaman. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Subhanallah. Beautiful, beautiful. You know, in this kalam, there is so much of knowledge and understanding and happiness and joy. It's just that you continue to just, understand and let your being be joyous and happy all the time with this knowledge. Alhamdulillah. We are truly, truly blessed. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Ya Mawla. So we are learning one of the verses, and I had hoped that I would start with that. So let me try. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وهو الغفور الودود ذو العرش المجيد فعال لما يريد وهو الغفور الودود ذو العرش المجيد فعال لما يريد وهو الغفور الودود ذو العرش المجيد فعال لما يريد فعال لما يريد وهو الغفور الودود ذو العرش المجيد فعال لما يريد فعال لما يريد وهو الغفور الودود ذو العرش المجيد فعال لما يريد. So in this beautiful zikr from Quran, 3 verses, chapter 85, the last verse we were studying last night as well, fa'alul lima yurid. That's where we have to work on pronunciation. Fa'alul lima yurid. But beautiful zikr. I would request our admin to post the uh, Quranic words and the translation for those friends who are not joining in the evening to learn these Quranic verses. Alhamdulillah. So today we are back with our reflection of Mawlana Hazar Imam's Faramin. Today is the third session in English that we will talk about, and inshallah, with your prayers, very briefly, we will finish this Farman which we had started in Mawla gave us in Dallas. Remember, this is just touching on these Farmans. Believe me, when I prepare these sessions, I feel that I'm not doing justice to it. But I am hoping that I'm raising questions, I am jolting the minds. So we continue to reflect on it because the reflection is non ending. Remember, Mola's words are so much full of wisdom that it is beyond our capacity that we would say, oh, we have read once, twice, thrice, 4 times. It's not enough. It's not enough. Allama Sahib used to say that if you have not read something 40 times, how can you even say that you have understood? And believe me, the more when we read and reflect and when we see his words, seemingly simple English, easy to understand. But when you really reflect on it, you realize that, you know, you have to really reflect on it, go deep, dive deep into it to understand Maula's hidayat, Maula's guidance. And I must tell you that though Maula's Farman, we've been talking about health and we've been talking about isolation, we've been talking about technology, it seems that Maula Bapa has given us so much hidayat for our worldly life. But if you really reflect, it all sums up to actually our spiritual life, our spiritual progress, Ruhani Taraki. And for that, you really have to reflect to see that Imam's hidayat is to help us to elevate in Ruhaniyat. For example, when Mawla gives us hidayat, move your bodies, walk, stay active. When we think that Mawla wants us to do exercise or go for run or play sports, it is a strange how Mawla Bapa is saying that. Isn't Mawla Bapa is here to guide us for, our Ruhaniyat, for our salvation? But remember, the way Maula's Farman is that if we are given this gift of life, this body, and if we don't take care of this body, how are we going to elevate in Ruhaniyat? How are we going to do what our soul needs us to do? Man ka janam ratan hai tu kahe ko khota hai. That makes sense. That Gnan now makes sense, right? That we understand that everything Imam has guided us, it is actually for our spirituality. Healthy body will have healthy mind, and we will be able to study, sit in ibadat and do zikr for longer duration because we are desiring to do abundant ibadat. And how beautiful today, it was such an amazing start of the class. If we want to do raqs, dancing, if our knees are hurting, our body is hurting, how are we going to do the raqs, right? How are we going to play rasra? We want to praise Imam in every way. And one of the way of remembering of zikr is badani zikr, zikr with your body. If the body is unhealthy, how are we going to do zikr? So remember, everything Imam has given us hidayat, it is all to do with our soul. But for that, we need to reflect. So let us start our session. And I love this picture. I'm sure you now know that Maula's love, his happiness, his joy looking at us is so evidently, obvious to us. Alhamdulillah. And remember, we talked about ethics, very critical topic. Ethics is very important. If we don't understand the ethics, if we don't follow that farman, of hidayat of Mawlana Hazar Imam or Mawlana Shah Karim or Mawlana Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, if we don't do that, forget about any elevation in Ruhaniyat. This is the key for our progress in Ruhaniyat. So I hope we understand. He loves us, but he says that it is unacceptable for him that we are unethical. So he has told us that he loves us, but accountability is there, reckoning is there, right? All right. So let's go to the next point, and this is very interesting point: martyr culture and guidance. And Mawlana Hazar Imam's words, I have it on the screen. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I want my Jama'at to live healthy lives. This means taking care of yourselves to prevent illness, right? Taking care of yourselves to prevent illness. And Imam goes further in detail, and he, guides us: poor diet, insufficient exercise, social isolation, you know, uh, uh, all these factors are contributing to poor physical and mental health. And Maula's hidayat was that, do not go for convenient food, because convenience is going to harm us. Long term, it will have harmful effects on our body. And guess what? Our young, when we are young, when you're busy trying to work longer hours, long shifts, you just want to eat whatever is available. And Maulana Hazar Imam is giving us hidayat that whatever is convenient is not good for us. Meaning we have to spend time and cook for ourselves. And then his hidayat is move your bodies, the way we talked about, right? Get out and play some sports. So this farman, this just one line. This means taking care of yourselves to prevent illness. In this one line, there is so much of guidance. And I thought I would go deeper into it because we are uh, seeing the conflict of different culture existing in our Jamaat, in our family, which is leading to lots of problems. One is isolation, actually. So, what is, we have to look at the martyr culture. What is that? And from the eyes of our young ones, our parents, our grandparents, then you talk of women, then you talk of men. All these different groups are caught up in this martyr culture. What is martyr culture, right? Qurbani ki jo baat karte hain, what is that? Something is not right with my slide. Something is really up on the high. Okay. So we'll see. Yeah, the point has gone up here for some reason. Okay. All right. So number one, the martyr culture, if you want to understand, self-sacrifice as identity, meaning seeing one's worth only through suffering. मैंने अपने बच्चों के लिए कुर्बानी की है, कुर्बानी तो करनी पड़ेगी ना, कुर्बानी नहीं करेंगे तो कैसे होगा, right? So self-sacrifice as identity, right? I'm not sure how else to explain it, but I hope you all are with me. Then there is a point which has kind of flied up on the slide is invisible caregiving. Doing everything for others while neglecting one's own need. And most of the time, majority of the time, it is women, mothers who do that. That they'll take care of all the family members' wives, but they will not take care of themselves, right? Culturally, if you understand, we have come from that culture where boys were given priority and girls were not. And Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah changed that. But does this exist in our families still? Yes, it does. I'm sure it does. And you all have witnessed it in one way or the other. So invisible caregiving and then emotional suppression. Very, very important point. You feel unhappy, you feel it is not right, but you believe that you have to, if you were to set boundaries, if you were to say that I cannot do it, it is actually selfish, right? So believing that expressing pain is being selfish because I have to sacrifice, I have to just sacrifice. Now, if somebody thinks like that, look at this Farman, what Mola says. This means taking care of yourselves. And martyr culture teaches us that you're not allowed to take care of yourself. If you were to do that, you are selfish. And this is what our culture has taught many of us, right? Then seeking validation through struggle. Unfortunately, in our Jamaat, in some families, you will see that some of the family members, especially older, parents, or whoever, there are older people, they are seeking validation through struggle. Do you see that I sacrifice for you? And interestingly, Mawlana Hazar Imam also said that if you are here today, you are here because of someone else, right? Because your parents sacrificed or somebody sacrificed for you. So Mola Bapa is saying that we need to take care of, pay it forward, take care of them, because today if you have made yourself someone here, you are here comfortably living life of safety and security, it is because of someone. But then on the other hand, I'm saying that there are those who are seeking validation through struggle, feeling only valuable when we are overworked, when we are exhausted, or when we are needed. If my children don't need me, the understanding is that, oh, they don't love me. So I will create situations so they need me. They constantly stay dependent on me. Remember, this is actually against the Farman of Mala Baba. So we have to understand what we are talking about here. Then there is guilt driven obligations, acting from pressure, fear, disappointment, because it is expected. You have no choice. You have to just do that. You have to abide by these rules. And if you do not, then, there is rebellious or boycott in the family, or, uh, negative uh, portrayal of that person in the family. And what does it lead to? A cycle of resentment, quietly absorbing everything until it turns into frustration, burnt out, and emotional withdrawal. You will hear very many women will say, nothing is going to change. It is what it is. Meri to zindagi gayi bas. Right? And that is the resentment cycle. And Maula's hidayat is that if you do not take care of yourself, how can you take care of others? And I'm adding to this understanding that if we don't take care of ourselves, if we are constantly into this resentment cycle of frustration, burnt out, emotional withdrawal, then how are you able to do bandagi, ibadat? You cannot, because you're so unhappy in your being. And Maula wants us to be happy. So, two very different things we have to understand. And this is Maula's guidance. I need you to understand. Unfortunately, what has happened with us that we take the dini life separate from our worldly life. If I am somebody who is, religious, how can I be happy? It cannot be. I have to be very serious to be religious. No, why? Our deen is deen of happiness. Why can't I be happy and dance and also pray? If there are some who judge you, it is due to their lack of knowledge. But just because they are judging you, will you stop living your life? That's what martyr culture dictates. Fear of judgment, khaufe beta, fear of people. All these are very much existing in our Jama'at. And due to all these things, it has led to different kind of problems. And I believe each one of us who is present here in one way or the other have witnessed that. And if we don't talk about these things, these are social issues in a way. But if we don't talk about, if we don't understand it, if we keep them under the rug, sweep them under the rug, that's what we do, we will never be able to experience the real joy, the happiness which is there in our deen, which Imam wants us to experience. Be light, be free, be happy. How can we be if we have so much of weight we are carrying on our shoulders, right? So let's see what is on my slide. Okay, so this came completely, alhamdulillah. So what do we need to do, right? We feel like, when we look at this part, this side, we feel that nothing changes. A person is withdrawn, especially moms. Oh, do not talk. Or some fathers don't talk. They feel there is no hope. And Western culture teaches our young ones, call it a quit, because it is individualistic society. So where are we going to marry these two culture where we are able to take care of both the generation? This culture feels isolated, withdrawn, hopelessness, and this group feels that, oh, they don't understand, so I need to take care of me, I have to set my boundaries. So how do we understand this gap, and how do we make a bridge out of it, right? We have to. So, how to let go of martyr culture, right? And that's what we are talking about here. Shift from obligation to consent. Believe me, these points, when I was writing here, it is difficult. And, in different families, depending on the level of education, depending on the level of desire to change lives, happiness, rohaniyat, the change can come. But we have to talk about these things, and depending on, whatever is applicable to you in whatever ways, you either take it upon yourself, apply, or help others. Because the objective is that we don't keep this knowledge to ourselves. We have to spread it so Jamaat can understand it, right? So the first change which we should bring in order to let go of this martyr culture, the first thing is we have to shift from obligation to consent. मेरी जिम्मेदारी है ना, मेरी जिम्मेदारी है ना, I have to do it. No, consent. Do you want this to be done? क्या ये आपको अच्छा लगेगा कि हम करें? What would you like? Do you know that? Remember that it's different culture. We have to be empathetic. There's a difference in the culture. That if somebody, even 2 years old, says something, oh, they don't want this, or they want, they want choices. A person from this culture will say, 2 साल का बच्चा है, उसको क्या पता? Give it to him and make sure that he eats. No, we cannot do that. We cannot do that. So, what would you like? And today's generation is different. We have to ask our young adults, we have to ask, what would you like? Not because you don't have to do anything because it's your obligation. We ask for consent. Practice healthy boundaries. Now, those, today we hear a lot about boundaries. Boundaries are very difficult to set actually. But each one of us, I believe, I really hope that our institutions, take this topic and teach Jamaat. We have to know more about these social things to be able to have some happiness in our families and be able to understand that our deen is the deen of joy and happiness, right? It is not escape. I have said that religion is not a pacifier, but unfortunately, when we don't solve these problems, we treat religion as a pacifier, and then we still don't find happiness. And the reason is there's lack of knowledge, right? So, practicing healthy boundaries, saying no without guilt, protecting your time, energy, and emotional space. These things in today's generation, it comes easy to them because they've learned this. This is in the Western culture, they've learned this. We grew up with martyr culture. How can you say no? You are just supposed to do it. You cannot say no. But now we are learning about this knowledge that we have to practice healthy boundaries. We do not want to live in a way which teaches us, to be martyrs all the time, and we find no joy, no happiness. There are elderly who I've spoken to, they literally are waiting to die. How sad is that? They're just waiting because children don't check on them, they don't talk to them, they don't visit them. They're so lonely that they just want to die. And Mawlana Hazar Imam gave clear hidayat that, part of our life, we work until 60, 65, 67, whatever the retirement age is. But then there is another part of life, a long life after that. And, when you look back, my parents or grandparents, that was never existing. Now we live long life. So how have we planned or prepared for our lives after the retirement? And remember, in the past time, it was about children and grandchildren. Now it's different because the young ones, they find they're always conflicted because our generation, the older generation, is forcing martyr culture. They want everything to be done by the obligation. No consents are taken or given. So it's so, challenging. There's a constant conflict. And due to that conflict, the result is isolation, which Hazar Imam has noticed and Hazar Imam has spoken about it. So if we really want to work on the root cause, we have to take this knowledge and change our attitudes and behavior. And to start that from practicing healthy boundaries, saying no without guilt, protecting your time, energy, and emotional space. It is difficult, easier said than done. I do not deny that. I myself is learning and growing, and I don't hide that because we all have to learn and grow. So Saying no is to take care of you. Then normalize rest and joy. Another very important aspect, because in the older generation, the word rest does not exist. The word joy doesn't exist. Because to rest is to say, oh, you are ill, that is why you are resting. Because why would you need rest, right? If you are happy, then something is wrong. You're doing something wrong, that's why you're happy. You have to hide your happiness. Does it sound familiar? Give me hands up, I would know that yes, I am saying what we have seen in our lives, right? So normalize rest and joy. Remember, as humans, we do need rest. It is not a reward. Rest is not a reward when you get sick because you are suffering. Rest is the need of the body, right? And then share responsibility, ask for help, delegate tasks, allow others to carry the share. If you all, I can do it alone, I don't need anybody, then that person is very unhappy and, of course, in isolation, right? Value self compassion. Be kind to yourself. Treat yourself with some kindness that you've been doing this. Do you acknowledge, oh, you did good today? You cooked today, or you walked, Mawlana Hazar Imam's Farman, now you're walking, you did walk, and you ran a marathon or whatever. Do you ever pat yourself? Value self-compassion. Very, very important thing. Replace guilt with clarity. There is no need for guilt feelings. Recognize the difference between genuine care and feeling forced. At times, care is provided to different age groups because we feel forced. Yes, there is a responsibility. Remember, we said we can share responsibility, we can ask for help. Replace guilt with clarity, communication. Redefine strength. Strength is not enduring pain silently, but telling the truth, setting the limits, caring consciously, right? Um, and there are so many examples which comes in my mind, but I would love us to have a discussion and we can discuss different examples. But there are so many examples. Like I can tell you one example. Somebody shared um, a young adult keeping food in the fridge, doing grocery cooking and planning meals for the work days, and in the family somebody eats a meal and doesn't inform, doesn't say, and on the day there is no food, and now there is a conflict. It is not that why did you eat my food, because you are living in family, but do you not know or do you not respect that person's work, that they did grocery and they kept the food? And now the meal is missing, you didn't even communicate. At least communicate. So, you know what? I was hungry, no food at home. I ate your prepared meal. But now make it more complicated. Let's say guests are coming at home. Okay? Our culture, different from our younger ones, right? Oh, fridge, help yourself. And they ate whatever they wanted to eat. And now this young adult who lives with you has no food to take to work. But our culture dictates, no, guest, how do you say no? There is a conflict. And it is a real conflict, but we chose to live in the Western world. We chose to give Western values, Western education to our children. We will have to find a way of communicating and discussing and respecting the boundaries. The young adult who's working hard, planning their lives, we cannot cross the boundaries. It is not our right just because we are older or we brought you in this world or because you are living under same roof, etc., etc. The entitlement attitude which we as parents or grandparents sometimes have. We cannot afford to have that because we do not live in the same world. We are living in a different times. So these are very important things which we have to learn. If we really want to understand Mawlana Hazar Imam's Farman and we want to bring change in our lives and take care of ourselves. And Maulana Papa is saying this means taking care of yourselves. If you are not doing these things, then you are not taking care of yourself. When you're not taking care of yourself, you are in a resentment cycle. you are unhappy, you're crying, you're feeling lonely, you feel nobody loves you. And that's, Imam is saying, it should not be happening. And if we were to ask, if we were to have young adults and ask them, do you not love your parents, or do you not feel guilty in taking care of your parents? They will be full of guilt as well, and they love their parents. But there is just this gap. Communication is not happening because the fight is, I am right, I am right. The values are different. We have to understand the values we grew is different and they grew is different. And we have to find ways and means setting healthy boundaries. Communication is extremely important for us to enjoy the time of Nurani Ibadat. Otherwise, you will not enjoy Ibadat time because there is constantly this pain and sorrow in the heart, right? So that was about martyr culture. Let's see. Freedom from martyr culture. Now, choosing self-sacrifice over self-care. Mawlana Hazar Imam's hidayat is that you do take care of yourself. Like believing others' needs matter more than yours. When we have that belief, then of course you cannot take care of yourself. Feeling responsible for everyone else's well-being, but ignoring your own. Thinking rest, healthy habits, or support are luxuries which you don't deserve, you don't have. Pushing yourself to exhaustion and calling it love or duty. Sounds familiar? So, seeing something healthy like a habit, a practice, or even food, instead of allowing ourselves saying that, no, this is for my child, this is for my son, this is for my family, I cannot have that. When we see a healthy thing, a good thing, a habit, a practice, or food, we always think of others. Can we start thinking from ourselves? Pouring all energy into helping your family and then completely overlooking your own needs. Then, if you do that, then you feel guilty. So, you have to find this balance of prioritizing yourself, your need to be able to take care of yourself. So, again, shifting of mindset from sacrifice to self respect. Very important, self respect. Understand that caring for yourself does not reduce your care for others. Lead by example instead of pressure, right? Charity begins from home. Very, very important point. Okay, so I think I've covered all these points. Shift your mindset from sacrifice to self-respect. Caring for yourself does not reduce your care for others. Replace guilt with self-awareness. And self-awareness is, again, Mawlana Hazar Imam's Farman, that take care of yourself. Then Mawlana Hazar Imam gave us hidayat that, my dear Jama'at, most of you are here today because someone who came before you opened the door and paved the way. So now we have to pay it forward. It starts from us, each one of us. So definitely we owe a debt to our older generation who brought us here. We have to offer them gratitude. They are our responsibility, right? We build our lives on their shoulders. Elderly Jama'ati members in our family or even institution, everywhere it applies. So we have to reflect on our values. And I've been talking about it, the values which we grew up with and the value in the Western culture. How do we marry those and how do we understand that? So remember, first we have to understand Western values. It's about independence, autonomy. Institutional care is normal. Nursing home, if you ask anybody in the Western culture, parents are living in facilities and nursing homes. Hazar Imam doesn't want that for our elderly Jamaat. He does not want it, right? And then, personal boundaries, individual identity. But these are not our values, but we live in the Western world. So we have to understand that where do we find that sweet point where both things are, being taken care of. And when we look at our values, we see familial duty and moral obligation, multi-generational household, my children, their children, everybody used to live together. That's not the case anymore, right? Respect and hierarchy, extremely important. In Western culture, everybody is you. There is no hierarchy as per se. Everybody calls everybody with their names. And that is not the adab in our culture. It is different. Collective identity. I cannot exist. It has to be always we. If you say I, then it is, you're being self-centered or you're selfish. But, that's what Western culture teaches us. So you have to understand that, the conflict which we see in our Jamaat, the different age groups, it is very genuine because of the conflict of the values. And if you review Maulana Shah Karim's Farman, Maulana Shah Karim used to say that everything is not bad in the Western culture. Everything, all the values are not bad. We pick those which are good and we leave those which are not good for us. So learning to set boundaries and respecting each other's boundary is a good thing. It will bring good results for us. But we need to learn and know what is that so we can take care of ourselves without guilt and with joy and happiness in our family. Then Mawlana Hazar Imam gave us hidayat about volunteers. Maulana's words were, I have observed with pride and admiration for this visit hundreds and hundreds of volunteers of all ages serving with dedication and love. In a very short period of time, you have galvanized your best resources and have arranged a very happy, successful visit for me. I have felt and seen the deep commitment you have made to serving your Imam and his Jama'at to the best of your abilities, and your abilities are impressive. So Mola was genuinely very happy. His words are showing that, right? We are so fortunate to have these talented, dedicated resources and leaders working together for the benefit of the Jamaat. Our Jamaat is truly blessed to have such a strong concept of volunteerism. Because if our volunteers were not there, how could we have beautiful Didar the way we had, right? So voluntary service builds bonds between you and makes our communities stronger, right? Serve whenever you can. Maula's words, serve whenever you can, not just when I am here. Very important point, and everybody laughed. Maula said that it's not that when I am here and I am seeing, that's why you are serving. And after that, you disappear. Service remains intact because Maula is watching us all the time. We have to remember that. So, those who work behind the scene, nobody knows about them. Maula does know. Remember that. And that's why he said these words that, uh, please do not think that those who serve any other ways are not known, right? He used some kind of words, and don't serve when I'm only present here. So he's implying that I know of all those who are, right now not in front of me, but I know that they've been serving. Of course, Mola Jane Chit Ki Chori, right? He knows everything, nothing is hidden from him. So in any capacity, volunteerism in any capacity, Mola gave lots of duashes. So we have to ask ourselves that how are we serving Imam? In what ways? In what capacities? Because if we are smiley and we are capable, we are adults, even our young ones are serving, and we see this in the picture. But wherever we are, whoever we are, whatever knowledge level we have, how are we serving Imam? Because this is one of the most important element, a pillar in our Jamaat. And Maula has appreciated so much this in his Farman. So volunteers are generous. Generosity is one of the value, one of the attribution which we want to have, right? Generosity. And then Mawlana Hazar Imam was offered Nazarana, which Mawla accepted very, graciously, and we'll talk about that. But before that, I would like to take you to this point, spiritual life. So I've been showing you the picture which is joyous and happy, and here I'm showing serious picture. And the reason we all know why. That do not think that when we see Maula's joyous picture that it's all happy and there's nothing to worry about. But remember Maula's word in guidance for ethics. Maula said this is unacceptable to Imam. These are very strong words. So Maula's worry, if we were to reflect on his faramins, we will be able to see it. And remember that Maula is our Malik of Deen and Dunya, right? He is Malik-e-Du Jahan. And Maulana Sultan Muhammad Shah used to say that we have come to this world. I'm not your physical doctor, as per se, when you come and ask me for the treatment of the physical health problems. I am here to treat your, diseases of spirituality, and I'm here to take you to the salvation. So Imam is here to help us to become one with him, fana with him. Asal mein wasal, right? Asal maqam pe jana hai. All these are, um, uh, available to us through Imam, through Imam's guidance. So what words Imam used? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I have never spent much of my time with you this afternoon. I have spent much of my time with you this afternoon on issues relating to living a good, meaningful, healthy life. It is a religious duty. It is our religious duty to fulfill the potential of our physical lives. So, what we just discussed, social things, remember that all those things do matter because it is our religious duty. If we love Imam, we want to learn and grow and fix ourselves. Till the last breath, we'll have to continue to learn and grow. It is our religious duty to fulfill the potential of our physical lives. How sad that would be if elderly in our Jama'at say, "Bas, I've done everything. Now I just want to go and be one with Imam." Because they have nothing to look forward to. They don't have any hope and happiness. And that is sad. So for us, we have to really think about our duty. Remember, voluntarism, it's khidmat. What kind of khidmat, where to give khidmat, all the khidmats are important. And then Maula's Hidayat, never forget that we are on this earth for a short time. For a short time. We are not here for eternity. Ultimately, only our souls are eternal. Only our souls. What have we done for our souls? How we live our lives can be of spiritual benefit. So if we are physically active, we are learning knowledge, we are growing, we are communicating, actually it will help us be better in our spiritual journey. So Maula's Hidayat is, so live your lives in such a way that your souls are strengthened. Souls are strengthened. Soul which has come from his light. It is this spark, it is that nur which has come from him. But when we don't nourish that soul, it becomes weak, sick with spiritual diseases. And Maula says that I am here to guide you to strengthen your souls. Can you imagine that? And then you know what he said after this spiritual hidayat? Live an ethical life. Do you know when we have in our families conflict, no respect of boundaries, and that leads family members to be unhappy, to lie, to gossip, to be hopeless. All that actually comes under the boundary of not living an ethical life. So if we understand, remember we've been talking about ethical life in terms of dason and money and businesses. Today we are talking about ethics, but within our family, within our Jamaat, in our community. Why? There is a direct relationship of ethics to Ruhani Taraqi. If we get entangled into, ethical problems, either it will be worldly, money, greed, or it is emotional things, um, getting into spiritual diseases like lying or gossiping or being disappointed or unhappy all the time or having hasad. All these are spiritual diseases, and that will lead us away from Imam and happiness. So Maula's guidance is live an ethical life. Live a good life as a way to give thanks to Allah. Take time for the health of your soul. Be aware of it. Tend to it. Nourish it with quiet contemplation and prayer. Today you will, then Maula's words were that today you will receive a tasbih. And we all receive the tasbih. And Maula's hidayat is that say your tasbih. Do zikr. Let this tasbih be a reminder to you to keep that balance in your life. To remember with gratitude of all Allah's blessings. Give thanks for the gifts in your life. And then, very strangely, he says, give thanks for your challenges also. Now, tell me who here will say that they are not going through any challenges? Let it be relationship, finances, health, work, business. Each one of us is going through some kind of challenge. Look at the Hidayat. Give thanks for your challenges too. Now tell me, have we left with anything to complain about? Can we complain about anything? If we have problems, now I'm going to take you to the different direction. If we have problems in the family, let's say there is this isolation, there is this hopelessness, and there is this conflict between younger generation, older generation. And Mawla says, give thanks to your challenges. So does that mean that I have to quietly suppress my emotions because Mawla's hidayat is to be grateful? So I'll just say, shukr, shukr, shukr. Am I saying that? No. Do not misunderstand. We are not expected to complain, but we are expected to learn and grow. We are humans, born with intellect, ashraful makhlukat. So when we don't understand this point, here comes the martyr culture. No, we have to say shukr. अब्यूज है, बर्दाश्त करना है, शुक्र करना है. कंप्लेन थोड़ी कर सकते हैं. No, that is not what Mawla's hidayat is. We have to learn to come out of the cycle of abuse. It is our duty. So remember, there's a lot which we need to think, reflect, and realize, because there is this knowledge gap, and we have this, misconceived notions of life and giving and sacrifice that has led, our older Jamaat to different direction, and even younger Jamaat. The reason our younger Jamaat is going into anxiety and depression, because for them, if you talk to them, sometimes they'll say, they just don't know how to make parents happy. No matter what they do, parents or elderly in the home, they are not happy. And parents, if you ask, they will say the same thing. So if both the groups are willing and wanting each other to be happy, then where is the problem? Unfortunately, we are living in different cultures, and communication, learning, and respecting each other is the only way to come out of this vicious circle and become Farman Bardar of Imam. Easier said than done, but we got to do this. There is no other way out of it. And then Mawla's hidayat was that give thanks for your challenges, remember the name, remember Allah, remember the names of Imam and the prophets, and your sincere remembrance will purify your heart and bring you true happiness. Remember, somebody again challenges this and says, okay, true happiness is in remembrance of Mawla. So why do I need to worry about this worldly life and fix things in my worldly life? Because it's not going to give me any happiness. I would rather just do this. But if you are not living full potential lives as Imam is directing, then how can you enjoy the full life here? And that is why, in our tariqah, we don't believe in becoming monks or nuns. We have to live and abide by full responsibilities of our lives. Live the life of families, go through all the difficulties, and also follow your deen, because there is no dichotomy between deen and dunya. So remember that he gave us duashis for mushkil asan. What is our mushkil? Do you know? We have to learn. We have to grow. And those who have been coming here regularly, I understand that you are the seekers of true knowledge. But remember that if, the way Imam Sultan Ahmad Shah used to say, that if you have a tummy ache and you take medication for headache, will it resolve your pain? No. So doesn't mean that, you do not respond to the needs which are existing for you. You got to do this and that. Remember, when we try and work hard to, live full potential lives, even then we will find ourselves into failures. At that time, we will say, Mawla, according to your hidayat, I tried my best, but this is the outcome, this is the result. Then we will not be, asked, why didn't you follow the farman? And after trying, we will stay without complaining and we'll say shukr. But we cannot call it a quit. I hope you understand that part. We cannot call it a quit, right? Otherwise, what will happen? We know that before Mawlana Hazar Imam's this Jama, our younger generation was far away, not coming to Jamaat Khana, and we were talking about anxiety and depression. Do you see the scenario has changed drastically? Our kids are so much involved now. They are so happy because Maulana Hazri Imam, this drama, he's giving so much attention to them, right? Mola, remember we are children of time and we are guided by living Imam according to the time. So Mola is, doing what he needs to do. And look at our children, they are happy. And if we don't learn and grow, then whose fault it is? So we got to the elders in the Jamaat, we have to have this knowledge and we have to grow. And the motivation for growing is actually Rohani Taraqi. So our goal is not changing, our aim is not changing, but the way we think is changing. Remember when we said martyr culture, oh, mother is doing everything or father is doing everything, we are not saying that you are not going to do anything, but you will think different. You will do everything because you want to give it to your family. You want to work hard for your family. You are doing it with joy and happiness. When you're tired, you will say, oh, I'm tired, I need rest. एहसान नहीं जताएंगे हम किसी पे. Because right now, a culture, we do know that one culture says, oh, हमने तुम्हारे लिए इतना किया. तो दूसरा यंगस्टर कहते हैं कि भाई क्या एहसान किया आपने दुनिया में लाया तो हमारे लिए किया तो क्या बड़ी बात है. This kind of communication we hear. Why? Because we need to change the way we communicate. So in actions and responsibility, there's nothing changing. It's the way we think. Oh, it is my duty, I have to do it. It is your duty to eat right too. It is your duty to rest. It is your duty to exercise too. It is your duty to say, no, this is my time for exercise. I'm sorry, I cannot entertain you. And if they are, respectful, they will understand. Judgmental होंगे तो वो तो judgment करेंगे ही, and you cannot please everybody. We all as a Jamaat have to grow in this knowledge. We have to say goodbye to those values which do not serve us. So I think I've spoken enough about culture, but I need to, one of the point which I wrote here was a spiritual progress. We have to understand that anything and everything we do, let it be service, let it be cooking for family or earning for family or anything we do, we are not doing it just because we are obliged or it is obligation. Because it is my love for my family, my Jamaat, my Imam. It is my happiness. That will bring joy to you and you will not feel disappointed. On the other hand, we need to see one more point. And when we look at, Maula, this Jama, the way Maula is approaching the Jamaat, how open he is, he's bending down, picking every paper, everything you give it to Imam, he's taking it. And, he's saying that I am reading them and I am seeing your complaints. When we used to study in Imam Shanasi course, remember we talked about that Khuda says that I created this world in 6 days, right? And I rested on the 7th day. What does it mean to rest on the 7th day? And we were talking about this in Holy Dua session too on Sunday. What does it mean that he's resting on 7th day? Meaning, is he not doing anything because he's resting? We have to realize that there is so much to reflect and understand when we see this Jama. This Jama is very different from Maulana Shakari. And why? We have to ask. And in our discussion, I learned that in one of the gathering in multi-faith, there were some couples, spouses, they complained actually to Maula Baba that Maula Baba, it is, His Highness, that it is so difficult to enter into faith, admit into faith because the process is so tedious and so difficult. And Maulana Hazima asked them that, do you want to be admitted in Ismaili Tariqa? And there were actually 3-4 spouses of the Ismailis, couples, they were there and they said yes. And Maulana Hazar Imam said, I accept your bayya. And they were shocked. What? They just became smiley like that. Why Mola Papa is doing that? Why Mola Papa is bending, picking up every letter and making this heart, and the way he's doing this is so different for elder Jamaat. It is so different for us. It is as if we are not maintaining adab. One is protocol, other is adab. Some may think like that. But remember, the times have changed. And what it means, when I was reflecting, the Sunday lecture was so powerful, so profound, it helped me thinking that if Khuda says that I created this world in 6 days and seventh day I rested. And when we see Hazar Imam, yes, it is the time of Qiyamah announced by Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah. And when we look at Hazar Imam, he's just giving blessing, barakat, barakat, nawazish, nawazish, happiness, joy. In this time, in the time of Qiyamah, if we will understand the importance of living fullest to our lives, to complete potentials of our lives, and attempt to become Farman Bardar, sit in ibadat of Isme Azam, do zikr, he is just going to elevate us limitlessly. That is what it means in one way. It is a time of musawat, the way we were discussing it in Sunday lecture with Dr. Sahib and Rashida Sahiba. So do we not see this Jama doing that? He's so happy. He's just giving us, giving us. So we really have to pay attention to his faramins. And if we understand his faramins and reflect upon it, there is only glad tidings for us. But yes, wherever we are weak, we see his worrisome face for us. He's our mother and father as well. And he worries about us. And he's telling our younger generation that, what, pay it forward, take care of your elderly parents and elderly in Jamaat too. But that does not exempt us, our generation, to not take care of our younger ones, right? So each one, wherever we are, whatever we are doing, we have to take upon responsibility of learning and growing. I'm looking at the time and I am not done. So I think I'll end here. I will end here and then we'll continue. There are a few more points. I was hoping to finish it, but I don't want to rush it because, and believe me, I feel still I'm rushing so much because I'm still, just touching on bigger points and emphasizing some points more than the others because I have heard so much of this in Jamaat during my teaching, life, that I do want to bring it out at least. If we cannot go into details of everything, bring it out so there's a discussion in the families and friend circle that this is Farman Bardari. So let me end here, friends. Thank you.